Hello and welcome to another video. As you can see, the weather isn't very good today. In fact, the trains from Saijo were completely stopped this morning because of torrential rain. But they did start running again from lunchtime, and I've been able to get to Iwakuni where I am now. Which is good because there's a train I have a reservation for from here. So from Iwakuni there's a private railway that runs along the Nishikigawa River up into the hills to a small town called Nishiki-cho. The railway, the Nishikigawa Tetsudo, runs various special services, one of which is called Yusuzumi Ressha. Yusuzumi means enjoying a cool evening after a hot summer day. And the idea of the train is that you can spend a couple of hours in the cool air conditioning on a journey to Nishiki-cho and back, enjoying the scenery. Which is actually what I have a reservation to do today. The ticket includes a boxed meal too, which should be good. Unfortunately, the weather means that the scenery isn't going to be quite as beautiful as normal maybe, and it's also cool enough today that the concept of Yusuzumi itself doesn't really apply. But even so, I'm looking forward to the journey and to the bento. What I'm looking forward to more though is what's going to happen when we get to Nishiki-cho. I suppose a little bit of background explanation would be helpful at this point. So, this line was originally planned to be the Gannichi line, linking Iwakuni to a town called Nichihara in Shimane. From Nichihara, via the Yamaguchi line, a route to the Japan seacoast would have been possible. The line was opened from Iwakuni to Nishiki-cho in 1963, but then the law regarding the restructuring of Japanese railways meant that the northern part of the line, although basically fully constructed, was never opened, and the southern part of the line, from Iwakuni to Nishiki-cho, was transferred to a third sector line, basically, as I said earlier, a private railway, back in 1987. So what this means is that heading north from Nishiki-cho, the route of the railway continues through tunnels which are basically completely ready for a railway, but a railway that will never come. The Nishikigawa Railway runs a sort of road train, something like you see in amusement parks, called Toko train, about 6 kilometers through these tunnels to Sozukyo Onsen, and part of the tunnels are illuminated inside. Anyway, one of the options if you book a seat on the Yusuzumi Ressha is that you can walk through part of the illuminated tunnels. This isn't something that's normally possible, and that's what I'm really looking forward to this evening. Anyway, here's the train, and unusually it's a 2-unit train. I don't think the train is going to be busy in any case, but the blue train is just for the 3 of us who have reserved seats for Yusuzumi Ressha. There's going to be plenty of space. Okay, so we've left Iwakuni Station now, and we're heading out through Nishi-Iwakuni Station, which was in fact the original station in Iwakuni. And we're crossing the Nishikigawa River, which I have to say looks pretty swollen after all the rain earlier today. As far as this point, the train has been on the JR Gantoku line, but here the Gantoku line curves off to the left heading towards Tokuyama, and we head north on the Nishikigawa Tetsudo line proper. The Nishikigawa River is normally so clear and placid along basically the whole length of the railway line. But all the rain today means that at the minute it looks rather muddy and almost menacing. Nevertheless, the mist on the hillsides is certainly worth seeing. It's a different kind of beauty from normal, I suppose, but it's still very impressive. The river is certainly very, very full today. I talked in a previous video about Chinkabashi, the bridges that are designed to sink under the water in times of flood. And I saw one across the river just a few minutes back. I have to say it was very, very close to being completely underwater. I certainly wouldn't have wanted to try and cross it. So we're just coming into Kitagochi Station. This is basically the midpoint of the line. It's the station where the train heading north passes the train heading south. It's also, today, where we get our bento meals. Anyway, this is the meal. Ayu, which is a river fish called sweet fish, I think, in English, features quite heavily, which is not really surprising because sweet fish can be caught on a normal day, that is, from the river just to the side of the line. Anyway, time for more scenery. The railway line is on a ledge right above the river in several places, and the weather conditions today mean that the train can only travel really slowly along these sections. Anyway, we are very nearly at Nishiki-cho, the end of the line. And from Nishiki-cho, as I said, we get to take a walk through the Illuminated Tunnels. And these are the tunnels. They are really, really spectacular. They're so much more impressive than I was expecting. By the way, the designs are all made with artificial stones that glow under the illumination of ultraviolet light. Apart from the designs in the tunnels themselves, it's also really interesting to walk through the tunnels and see just how complete the route onwards to Nichihara actually was. It really does seem that the rails were all that were needed. As I said earlier in the video, you can take the Toko train through these tunnels, and of course you can view the illuminations in that way. However, I think it's much more special to walk through the tunnel in a small group, in my case of just 4 people, escorted by the many bats in the tunnel, enjoying the almost complete, perfect silence, knowing that all of this spectacle is just for us. For me, these tunnels alone were completely worth the journey up to Nishiki-cho. Okay, I'm on the train back from Nishiki-cho to Iwakuni. I hope you've been able to appreciate this from today's video, but the Nishikigawa Railway is a wonderful little line. The scenery is great in both good weather and bad, and maybe even more important, the staff are invariably friendly and helpful. I really get the impression that they are committed to their line. I've taken part in various events held by the railway over the years, and I've never failed to be impressed. By the way, speaking of events, the Nishikigawa Railway has train driving experience days. And in fact, the second unit of the train I travelled on from Iwakuni today, the pink train, I actually got to drive a few years ago. That was another very, very impressive experience, and one I would certainly at some point in the future like to try again. The Yusuzumi Ressha is another impressive event. It's certainly a very pleasant way to spend a summer evening, even if, like today, the summer evening isn't very summery. And I can wholeheartedly recommend it. And the tunnels from Nishiki-cho, well, I think they speak for themselves. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. As ever, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again in another, hopefully less rainy video, very soon. Bye for now.